Hello, 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 hello. Happy Tuesday. This is Wendy Lee, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the US. And I'm super excited that you're joining me today. I'm a tidbit early. Let's go ahead and get that video on so you can see me. Hello. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys are here today. So I'm going to look and see if I can pull up the Facebook, because you know that's a little bit of a challenge sometimes for me. So let's try to find you there first. Maybe. All right. Making sure I'm in the right place. Good. I see I'm in the right place. Again, I apologize. I'm just a little bit early today. So I'm going to give it just a moment for people to pop in. Hey, Elise, so good to see you today. Good. All right. So I'm going to wait just a couple minutes or chat with you for just a bit since I am early. I'm like 4 minutes early or 3 minutes early now. But what I wanted to share with you in addition to today's project, because it's going to be so fun, I'll go ahead and show you, right? I should look and make sure I can see that I'm showing this to you, right? Switch my camera over. So this is the beautiful card. I didn't know I matched the card. Kind of funny. So this is the beautiful card that we're going to make today. And we're going to do a couple coloring techniques. So we're going to talk about using the blending brushes a little bit, and then pulling out our blender pens and doing some blender pen and ink coloring. So I haven't done that in a while. I don't know if you guys have or not. Maybe you've never used blender pens. I think they're awesome. But I'm going to be featuring the Forever and Always stamp set and the coordinating always dies. So what I wanted to talk to you about for just a moment before we jump in and start crafting is that is the product suite that I will be featuring as part of the Maker's Mojo event. So I don't know if you've seen any information about the Maker's Mojo event, but I am partnering with Melissa Kerman and Melanie Hawken, and they are awesome demonstrators. And we will be having an event on Saturday, January 30th, I believe is the right date. And it's an all-day thing. So we're going to be popping in, doing Facebook Lives all day long. All the content will be recorded. So if you can't join us live, it's fine. And maybe you're not if you're not a Facebook user, you might not have even seen anything about it. Although I will share this on my YouTube channel as well. So if you're not a Facebook user, it's okay. You'll get everything emailed to you, but there'll be PDF tutorials as well as the videos that you'll have access to. The thing that's cool about this is a little bit of a different thing than we've tried before, but the thing that's really cool about this is that our hopes are to show you that you can use whatever products you have on hand. You don't have to purchase anything special for this event to do the classes. So there's 3 full classes. So I will tell you that my class is one of my framed art projects. So I am featuring that, what is it? Love You Always. Yes, Love You Always product suite. Let's see, let me pull this catalog out. Of course, this is my catalog, so I write in it. So the Love You Always product suite. So this is a mega suite. And so I'm going to be featuring products from that suite. That is on the page 10 and 11 of the mini catalog, and making a framed art piece with you guys. So you will get all of the information to do that. And then I've also got, each of us are going to do a little technique session with you guys. So there'll be some stamp and play as well. So you guys will get to stamp along with us. And then you'll also have access to the larger classes as well. So lots of great things with that. Registration does end. Registration does end on January 28th, and it is $40. All right, so I'm going to move on from there and jump into our project because I think I stalled till 12:30, right? So much fun. Hey, Gwen, so glad you're here. Diane, Mary, hey, good to see you guys. All right, hopefully you guys can all hear me and we're ready to jump on in. So I'm going to switch my camera over. Maybe. Yes. All right. Perfect. And then let me make sure I can see the Facebook group. The technology makes me just a bit crazy sometimes. So All right, perfect. So we're jumping in and we're going to make, again, this lovely card. This was inspired from a project I saw from Narelle. I'm not even going to attempt to say her last name, but she's one of my favorites that I get a lot of inspiration from. So this is the project that we're making. And then, of course, we brought the design to the inside. And I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera, but I've got some Wink of Stella on those flowers. So there's a nice shimmer going on as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with creating this lovely, lovely project. Okay, I'm going to start with, let's start with a basic white. I got to switch over to basic white. So if you are a longtime Stampin' Up! Enthusiast, historically we've had Whisper White products, and sadly our supplier has gone under. COVID has been impacting all of us, right? And so we've had to source it from another supplier. So it is now being called Basic White to differentiate the difference from a SKU perspective in our warehouse. So, all right, I have got a strip of real red cardstock. This is cut 2.5 by 5 1/8. And I added texture to it already, and I used the Old World paper embossing folder. So it just kind of gives it this nice rough texture. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down using my Stampin' seal right onto this Whisper White layer. And this is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of Whisper White. The measurements for everything that I'm doing should already be in the video description along with the supply list, so that you have everything that you need to recreate this one. Yay? All right, next I'm going to go ahead and adhere on a piece of designer paper. This is 3 inches by 4 3/4. And this is part of that suite. So this is the True Love designer paper. And you know, our designer papers are fabulous. They have 2 sides. And one of my favorite things about this designer paper is that it's black and white. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do with it. And I'm going to show you some exciting things during the Maker's Mojo event on adding some color to your designer series paper. We're not doing that today, but you will not want to miss the Maker's Mojo event. All righty. So I'm just going to adhere that down. I'm going to give that a good push because of that texture. I want to make sure it's down. I know it's crazy. I'm doing things flat. You would never know that. Hey, Kay. Yes, happy Tuesday to you as well. Yay. All right. Next, I'm going to pull in some thick white cardstock. And this is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And I've scored it. I find that the thick cardstock I need to score. It folds a little bit better. All right, so run my bone folder. So I've got my card base. And then, of course, here I'm going to pop this up. So let's pull out our dimensionals. You don't have to pop this up if you don't want to pop it up. You guys know it. But I love all the height, all the dimension and height that it gives. So here we go. Perfect. So we'll get this layer down on our card base. Rotate it so it's the orientation that I want it to be, right? All right, so now let's start some of the fun and start coloring. So I've got a scrap of paper and a piece of basic white cardstock. Now this is, let's see, my cheat sheet, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to apply some real red ink to this. I'm going to actually go this direction. So I'm going to pull in my real red ink pad, and it's a little messy. I've had this one for a while. And I'm just taking one of my blending brushes. Now, I've used this in pinks and I've used this in reds. My understanding, I've not done this yet. I've just run it until my ink color doesn't come out anymore. But my understanding is that you can wash these with warm soapy water, but definitely make sure you let them dry completely before you use them in another color. You're not going to get a very nice image here. Now, what I love about these, if you haven't tried them, I don't know if there's millions or not, but it feels like there's millions. It's velvety to the touch. It's super soft. It's bristles. So it gives you a really cool, nice, smooth image. So I'm going to go in a circular motion. I'm going to start off my cardstock and I'm going to just blend basically some color right onto my cardstock. So I can blend this out till, you know, it's hardly giving me any color. if I'd like to. I'm going to just hit these edges to kind of give it a little, you know, a little halo around my edges here, a little bit of color, but I'm going to leave that pretty white down there. So let's add a little bit more color. My husband's calling me. He's going to have to wait. We have a hot tub, a new cover for our hot tub being delivered today. So I assume that my doorbell will ring while I'm on the Facebook Live, right? Because I didn't have any other meetings today, that's when it's going to happen. Only when you're live does things happen like that, right? I figure that's how it's going to work out for me, but hopefully not. Hopefully we'll get through the live before the doorbell rings and all of that. So I'm just lightly layering on color. And again, you can blend it out as far as you want to, or as little as you want to. So it's kind of cool. It creates kind of this ombre look. Now you can also add multiple colors, right? So you could have it change from maybe red to yellow or into purples or something fun like that. I'm keeping with red, and I actually want a little more depth. So I'm going to move on to Cherry Cobbler and add a little bit of Cherry Cobbler on that top section so that I get a little deeper color. I'm not going to worry about that. I just am using this same brush. You could switch brushes if you wanted to. I'm not going to. It's still in the red family, and as long as you work light to dark, you should be okay. But it just adds a really nice, I find this so much easier than using sponges, although I like sponges, don't get me wrong, and I will continue to use them. But this is just such a nice, isn't that just pretty? And again, we could go on and on and on and on and on. But it makes such a really pretty layer, right? All right, so I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to let this dry just a bit before I handle it too much more, because that ink is pretty wet. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next layers. So next, I went ahead and die cut this already, but I used the Forever Flourish dies, and I've got a piece of black cardstock and die cut this. So I've got this piece right here. Okay. I love that we can mix and match our products. Makes them super, super versatile. And so we'll come back to this in a minute. I'm actually going to clip this apart. Well, maybe I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and clip this. I want this top sprig here. I'm going to clip that off. And then I want to clip these apart. And we'll decide which ones we want to use as we go here. There we go. And I'm going to just cut that off so it's not in my way. All right, so now we have a bunch of little sprigs to use. I'm going to set those aside for now. Now I'm going to bring in another piece of white cardstock. This is 2 3/4 by 6 inches. And this is where we're going to stamp and do some of our florals and our die cut circle. So I forgot a black pad, of course. So I got a memento pad. And I've got my 2 floral images. So let's go ahead and bring this in. And do I have one? I do have one. I was worried I didn't have a foam mat. So you don't have to use a foam mat, but sometimes with a larger photopolymer stamp, it helps. And I'm finding the center image here that I do better with my stamping if I use the mat. So I'm going to use the mat. Okay, perfect. So I got the large flower. And let's ink up the small flower. Fabulous. So we're going to color those. I'm going to die cut them first, actually, I think. And then, actually, before I get rid of that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment as well. We'll just do all this little die cut stamping first. Okay. Set this aside for now. We'll come back to that. All right. So now I want to go ahead and die cut using my dies. So I am using the larger flower outline, the smaller flower outline. And I love these. These kind of give you a fussy cut look without being fussy cut. So you could cut this out if you'd prefer. But I'm going to go run that through the machine along with, let me pull in my stitch shape dies because you know I love those. So I'm going to pull in this second largest circle as well. And I'm just going to run those all through the die cutting machine. Okay. So we'll take those away. All right. So Jean, you saw a makeup brush yesterday that looks like it. One was just $12. I know, and we get 3 for $12. So I've only bought one set. I am definitely going to buy another set just because I think it would be nice to not mix colors, right? Okay, so we've got our die cut pieces here, and we're going to color this. So I'm going to bring that scrap paper back in if I can find one. Here we go. I don't know if I really need it, but I'd rather have it than not have it. So one of the things I wanted to show you, so I'm going to color this and I'll show you how I colored it, but I also wanted to show you, here's a couple that I colored earlier. And I put a little more color on it than I did on this project here. I was going for something a little subtle here, but I wanted to show you. So this is Shimmer White. I don't know if you can see that, cardstock. And it colors a little differently on Shimmer White versus the basic white. So, you know, the basic white has a really soft, smooth finish to it. And then the Shimmer White, what's the best way to say it? It's got that shimmer within it, but it's not it's still a pretty smooth paper. But I find that the color, even though I use the exact same colors on the two, that the color's a little, got a little more depth to it. You'll also find that if you put too much liquid on our basic white, that it's going to pill if it gets too moist. So if you color over the same spot multiple times, it's going to pill on this paper, where the Shimmer White is going to be a little more forgiving on that. So, and it depends on how blended you want it. I didn't like go too crazy trying to get this all blended out. One of the things I like about blender pens, and let me pull in a blender pen so you can see what they are. So these are a dual tip, kind of a marker, but it's clear, right? So it runs clear. And you add color by picking color up and using this applicator to apply it. So it kind of becomes a marker in a sense. You can do it, look at it as like watercoloring, but kind of more controlled than water. So I hope this helps, but it really does give you a little bit of a different look depending on which paper you're playing with there. So just wanted you to see that. All right, so let's go ahead and come in here. And I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start with the real red. I am going to put a little cherry cobbler in it as well. And see, this is where my pad is messy. So to get that there, all I did was squeeze my pad. I'm not going to add more. I'm pretty messy already. And that I got some ink into the lid. So all I have to do is pick some ink up, and now look, I can draw with it. And you can blend it out until to nothing, or however you want to do it. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of ink here. I'm going to color this. And you can do it as dark or as light as you want. You can blend and blend and blend if you'd like, if you want a really smooth look to it. And I'm just really just following the Stampin' Up! Artists that designed this stamp set. They gave me these black little hash marks, and those are perfect for a guide to color. They've already done all of my shading for me. I just need to follow the directions. I don't always follow the directions, but I try, right? So we're just putting a hint of color on this. Boy, my fingers are not working today. I think the arthritis is getting me the best of me. So blend this out just a smidge. Give a little color there. And again, I can spend as much time coloring or as little time coloring as I want. It just depends on the look that you want to have. But it's very controlled, I think. I think it's a relaxing coloring. Not quite as intimidating as watercoloring can be, although I love watercoloring. Nice. So just just adding a peak of color. I should have pre-colored one of these for you, so you didn't have to watch me color it, right? But you're going to watch me not only color the big one, but the little one too. Well, you don't have to watch me, but it's what I got for you today. So do you guys have blender pens? Did you know that you had blender pens? If you look at these and you're like, oh, that's what that is. And if you've got them, have you used them in a while? You know, we've got so many great coloring tools. I think sometimes we forget about some of our oldie but goodies. It's still one of my favorite things to use. So you don't have to have the blends. Granted, having the blends is awesome, and it's going to give you a much greater depth of color, I think, or a marker. The things you can do with markers. All right. Close. I'm so close. I promise. Add a little bit of color there. Okay. Now, if you wanted to add a little more depth of color, you can switch to cherry cobbler. Oh, Jean, what are you saying? Blender pens have a good amount of glycerin in them. Oh, Jean, you always know just fun facts about things. Someday we're going to meet in person. All right, I am just adding a little bit of cherry cobbler down into the center, closer to the center, maybe not in the center, but closer to the center, just to give a little more pop of color, just right close to that center of the flower. You don't have to do this. I just think it adds a little bit to it, just giving a little more depth. Okay, and we'll switch to this other one. And you can see, you might be able to see, my paper is starting to curl up a little bit because of the moisture that I've added. And the next step, it's going to curl up a little bit more. That does not bother me. I think it's kind of fun. Again, just another way to use it. Blend that out a little bit. Okay. Now you don't have to watch me color anymore. So, cool thing about blender pen, when you're done, just run it until it runs clear again and it's good. Now don't go back and forth like this because you're going to blow out your tip. So you don't need to press hard. You know, just use it gently and it's going to do wonderful things for you. All right. So now I've got these. Now I want to go ahead and add a little shimmer to them. So I am going to take my clear Wink of Stella. Now you could use your Wink of Stella as a watercolor brush as well and do a very similar thing to what I just showed you, where you pick up color and paint it right with the, I'm going to move this to the silicone craft sheet. Pick up color and blend it. But I'm doing this because I'm squeezing, I'm not getting much out of my blender pen or my Stella, so I'm squeezing it, and you know, every time I do that, it's going to ooze out on me if I'm not over something I can pick up. I might have grabbed one that's almost empty. It looks like not much is coming out of it, if any. Yeah, a little's coming out, not a lot. Let's see if I can, well, it looks like it's getting ready to ooze. It sounds like there's stuff in there. Let's see if I've gotten another one. Maybe this one will be a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit more is coming out of this one. So we'll use this one. All right, so I'm just going to color over the top of what I've done. Now, it may blend the color a little bit because there is moisture in this Stella pen, which is fine. A little debris off my... Ah, that's what I was trying to avoid. So we'll just scoop all that off because I squeezed too hard. See if I can get most of that off of there. Yeah, it's going to bleed. All right. It got too wet. Too much shimmer. But that's okay. We'll salvage it. But that's why you're supposed to squeeze it over something else and not what you're coloring. I had good intentions and then I did it anyway, didn't I? All right, well, maybe that'll still work out as it dries. It bled a little bit there, but boy, that's nice and shimmery, isn't it? We got lots of it on this time. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and color this other one real quick since I've got plenty on my mat to use. All right, put the lid on this and we'll deal with that mess in a bit. I'm gonna need to let those dry for a bit since I got so crazy with that Wink of Stella. Oopsie. Okay, we'll go ahead and keep on going assembling our card. So this layer here that we use the blending brush on, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this up with some dimensionals. Oh, Jean, looking forward to it as well? Yes, I think we'll have a good time. So the next Stampin' Up event, we'll have to meet up because I know you're a demonstrator as well. That'll be good. We'll have lunch or drinks, either one, I'm good with it. All right, so I'm just gonna lay this down. And again, I've popped that up with some dimensionals. And then next I wanna go ahead and put this circle down. And I'm going to try to put the dimensionals a little bit in because I want to be able to slide those branches in, sprigs, whatever you want to call them. The leafy looking thing. All right, so I'm sliding that in there. So we'll look at this and then I'm going to poke this kind of right down in there. Let's pull in some liquid glue, my frenemy. That's going to ooze and be a mess. Let's see if I can get some of that off. All right. A little bit of liquid adhesive. Gets me all sticky. And I'll just slide that in there. And I like it if it's hanging over the edge just a bit. All right, let's see which one of these we want to use. I think this is the one I used on the original. So I've got that little guy. And then maybe this one. That's what I think I used on the original one. It's kind of fun, or we can change it up a little. Do something a little bigger. No, I think I'm going to go with the original. I'll save the other two. Just put a couple of dots. It depends on what you want. If you want it more attached, you could put dots on more of the leaves than I am. I just want to get it down so it doesn't fall off. But I like things kind of loose on the card. I think that's kind of fun with your layers when you're doing collaging like this. So I'm going to tuck that in and just hold that down for a second so it hopefully will stay where I put it. And then let's see if we can slide this one in. Yeah, I got lucky with my placement of my dimensionals, I think. All right, so that's already looking fabulous, I think. Let's see if we can salvage this. I think we can salvage this. I am going to grab back that scrap paper and see if I can rub the back. Yeah, you can see where it really pooled. Yeah, I think I'm going to be okay. So I'm going to go and use some dimensionals to put this down as well. Just putting that scrap down in case I had lots of wet stuff going on still. And I'm going to slide this, I think right about there. Place that on. Now, because that is a little bit damp, it could fall off my card later. I'll check it later on. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive and lay down this smaller flower. And we're just going to tuck that right down in there. Kind of like that. All right. So now we need to die cut our always. So one of my favorite things about this die set, let me bring it back in so you can see it, is that it die cuts out the word love and the word always, and then you've also got a framed piece. So you can die cut the detail, and then you've got a framed piece that it lines right up on top, which will kind of give it an outline. I'm not using the outline piece today. We're just going to use this, this detailed always. Now, I mentioned last week about the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use that. I haven't played with it much, but I wanted to show you guys, when I'm dealing with die cuts like this, I like to use adhesive sheets. So I've actually cut mine into 6-inch pieces. So you just peel it right off the sheet that it comes on and put it on the back of your cardstock. Now you can rub it with a bone folder if you'd like, and that will get a really nice adherence to the cardstock. I don't always do that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then I'm going to place my die right on this. Now, of course, this is an excessively large piece of cardstock to do what I'm doing, but it's fine. It was in my scrap bin and it was very convenient to use. So let me pull in the little mini emboss machine. Super cute. So if you don't have an embossing machine, die cutting embossing machine yet, this might be a nice option for you to try out. It's a little less expensive than the larger machine. It doesn't take up much space. You know, you do have to kind of watch what size dies you put in it, but it unfolds. Okay. And then it comes with the plates that you need to get started. So you just read the plate. So this is for the die cut. So I've got plate 1 and then I've got 2 of plate 2. So I'm going to put 1 plate down on the bottom as it tells me in my picture. And then I'll put my cardstock and my die down. Okay. And I'm actually going to slide this down a little bit. Hopefully I'm in screen here. Let me kind of slide that up a little bit. And I'm going to take my second plate and I'm actually going to offset it just a little bit so it's hanging off the edge. And the reason I'm going to do that is this is a narrower opening than we have on our bigger machine. So the bigger machine has a little more space to work with and grab onto the sandwich that you're sending through. This one can be a little bit trickier because that space is so small. So I want to give it success. And so I'm having this lean off so that if it needs to grip it, it can kind of push down a little bit at that end. So I'm going to try this and see if I have any issues. Nope, it grabbed right away. So no problem. So because this is so little and lightweight, you are going to have to hold it in place, or at least I find that I had to hold it in place a little bit more than I do my larger machine. Now I'm going forwards and backwards, not because this is the mini machine, but because this is a really detailed die and I want to make sure I get a good cut the first time through. And I've got that adhesive sheet on the back, so it's got to cut through that extra layer as well. So once that's cut, I can just fold this little guy up and move it out of my way, or you can leave it out all the time. It's entirely up to you on what you want to do with that. Now, let's go ahead and pull in our lovely take your pick. And I've got the die brush on it, attachment. Get that out of there. And then let's poke a couple holes. There we go. And then I'm pulling that right out of my die. Do you guys use your die brush attachment on your take your pick? I love it. So when you buy this, this is a separate thing. It just screws in at the top. So you take your putty end off of the take your pick and you screw this in. And so it becomes a die brush for you to roll out your little bits and pieces. And it comes with that little foam pad. So kind of nice. So now you've got your cute die cut. And since we put the adhesive sheet on the back, it's a peel and stick, which I like. You could use liquid adhesive or fine tip glue to put this down if you prefer. I don't prefer. I prefer the adhesive sheets whenever I can do it. I can get this started. I might have to pull that back in. Nope, I got it. All right, so I'm just going to pull the backing paper right off of this. And you can see that sheen, I hope. Shows you that there's adhesive on the back of this. Now, if I can do this without breaking it. All right, so I'm wanting that AL to fall right in there. I'm a little lower on this one than I was on my last card, but it doesn't bother me. I think I'm gonna leave it. I could pull it back up, but I think I'm gonna leave it. Let's see, if we put the U there, does it look good or do we need to move it up? No, I think that's okay. And then we can put that U right there. I may have to pop it up because I'm down so low. Nope, maybe we'll pop it up just a little bit. Move this up just a smidge. So I was able to peel that right up. And then I can place it back here just a smidge higher. And then I'm just going to give that a good push because now I'm committing to where it's at. We'll see. All right, great. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. Now you could pop that up if you want to. I'm going to leave it flat. Well, no, maybe we'll pop it up on this one. Let's go ahead and pop it up on this one. I'm going to bring in some minis for that because I think that'll be better. Well, I say I'm going to bring in minis and then here we go. So here's a couple mini dimensionals. I could use the edge of my regular dimensionals as well. That would work, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll change this one up a little bit and we'll pop this up. If I can get that straight-ish, right? Cute. Oh, look at all that shimmer. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's really nice. All right. So next, to finish this off, we are going to add a little bling, of course. So some holiday rhinestones. I'm just going to pull off a few of those and add them. Whoops. Right to my card. I like to use odd numbers when I'm dealing with my bling. I think it's a little more pleasing to the eye when you have them in odds. All right. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, so let's finish the card on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in a piece of basic white, same size. It's 4 by 5 1/4 as this outside front. And bring my scrap paper in and my foam pad. And I'm just going to stamp it right down in the corner. Oh, it doesn't look like I've got that inked up very well right there. Okay, try it again. Great, happy with that. So you do want to let that dry for just a moment. Make sure that ink is set a little bit. And then we're going to color it just like we did on the outside. And then add our Stella. I could add a little more Stella since I've got so much of it on this pad still. Let's see if I can still pick it up. Might be too dry. No, I can pick it up still. So we'll add a little bit more. Might as well. The front of the card's so shimmery, I hate to have the inside not match. I think it adds a special touch to put the design on the inside of the card as well. Simple things. Adding a little strip of designer paper works nicely. You know, stamping. Of course, you can put a sentiment on the inside if you prefer. That's entirely up to you. All right, grab my scrap since I just added Stella there. Stampin' seal. There it is. Good. It dries really fast. It's not coming off. I'm paranoid, so I'm pulling in that scrap paper, but nice. Just a little white on white layer on the inside. Now, you don't have to do that, but I was worried in case I had any bleed through. I didn't want it to be on the back of my card, so I was just being on the cautious side. If you're coloring with blends, you definitely would want to make it a separate layer if you're putting the design, coloring the design on the inside, because it would bleed through. That's just the nature of the blends, but pretty, right? So I hope you guys like these. Let's bring in the original again. And you can see this one's got way more shimmer, a little more color on this one than this second one that I did here. So, but I hope you guys love this, and we'll give it a go. If you've got your blender pens, pull them back out, use them. They're fun to use. Gives you a little different appearance with some controlled watercoloring there. And if you don't have them, you might think about getting them because they are a very nice tool to have on hand. So, all right, great. Again, don't forget to sign up for Maker's Mojo. I would love for you to join us. It's going to be a fun time. And I think you guys saw the Blue Ridge Stampin' Escape video the other day. If you've got questions on that, let me know. Registration ends for that one on January 30th. And that's a full kit and 12 projects and bonus projects. I do have another framed art piece for that. All kinds of fun stuff. Oh, last thing on Maker's Mojo. My Diamonds team gets Maker's Mojo for free this time. So if you are like thinking about joining as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and you would like to join me and my team, which would be fabulous, one of the perks is you will get access to Maker's Mojo for free. So, all right. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I can't wait to see you guys next Tuesday for some more fun. Thanks for now. Bye.